She
Yeah.
says she's in.
It's Katlego coming in. Let me just see.
Yeah, it says
No. Let me just phone her. So
yeah,
she must use
because
you use that
she must use the one on WhatsApp. She
yeah.
deleted the message.
Oh, did she?
She deleted the message.
Uh let me just say because it's only ringing. Katlego. Yeah. Please. If you use this link, yeah, this link I shared, yeah, I shared. Yeah. So again, also just because I also just checked for the
Yes.
last workshop, and I did add. Remember, I said to you, you were the only one who
Yes.
didn't add. So I just did update that you should have gotten an invite in your mail. You'll see it, and that'll be
Yes.
on. I think it's when is that for? It's in May.
The 13th of May. Yes, I did get
Yeah.
the email here.
So
This is
again,
our last workshop
yeah,
covering the
that's it.
F1.
Yeah. So what I want to do is again,
and all the questions around the course material. Yes.
yeah. So what I want to do, if you, like I say, if you're okay with it, and obviously Katlego, when she joins, okay with it, is I'd like to split up this and another one. Do you understand? So let's say on the 29th,
Good.
the 29th, would that
Yes.
fit? Like the 29th would be good?
29th of April.
Yeah, I
I'm
think that
good.
would be, yeah,
Am I
because then
right?
it's,
Is it April? Yes.
yeah, then it's halfway
Yeah.
between that and then the last, let's say the last workshop, of which once again I will also follow up with another one, just so that everyone is on the same page. Yeah. Let's
Now on the 29th, this FA2, right? The
yeah,
FA2, if I'm right, let me just have a look, is due
it's
between the 26th and the 3rd.
29th and the 3rd. So that week that I'll actually that will
Yes.
touch base. So in other words, it's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Right?
29th.
Yeah,
29th to the 3rd. So you're saying you want to break this one to the 29th also on that day, yeah?
Well, I would have one just before, because you're going to submit that week, right? I'm just going to share that screen as well. Just quickly share. So I would in the beginning, just to touch base, like you see there. So 29th of April, and then we can have another, like I said, another hour and a half. It's over here, the 29th on Monday. So that you guys don't submit before, you understand? So, I mean, in essence, like it is 3 weeks that, and then you have to submit basically on the 3rd, that Friday, right? Okay, we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna start with it, and then Katlego, because the thing is, I'm trying to call her, but it's not going through. Let me just try.
Not going through.
Yeah. This Katlego. Yeah. Yeah. Let me try it again. Just gonna try one more time. See if there we go. Hold on. And there's not one, so. There we go. Hold on. Katlego? Hey, listen, are you okay? Can you click on that link that I just sent you? It's the same link I'm saying as the assigned one, right? For this date, for today. Have you clicked on it? Yeah, so the one that I've just sent.
Are you referring to the assignment itself?
I'm just talking to Katlego. Hold on a second, Ustaz. Yeah, no worries. Say again, Katlego. No?
Join with the link on my email, right?
It should be the same one, but go via the one on WhatsApp. It's the same one, but just try maybe just going directly from WhatsApp. Are you on your PC or are you on your phone? Obviously, I'm get Yeah. Yeah, don't worry. So then, like I said, just go through the WhatsApp one, the one I just sent in the WhatsApp group, and then click there. Okay. Okay, try that. Yeah, try that, and we'll see you now in the class. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, right. All right. So obviously she'll come in a second. Okay. So yeah, how did you find just because obviously I marked, I don't know if you've received your marks. I'm sure you have. Did you get your mark for the formative one? Just does?
No, not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay, so it's in moderation. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you manage okay? I mean, I think you I can't say what you got obviously because it's still in moderation then, but but you obviously did. I think it looked like you handled it well enough. Um, in terms of the submission process, you were fine with that as well. All good.
I was okay. Yeah, I was okay.
Yeah.
Bit of it. I don't know how. I think Pro might have submitted two of the same thing. Like twice. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can update that. You can obviously update that submission. So it'll just say the one it'll say edited on my side, and it'll say it'll
Yeah.
say edited, and then that'll be your submission there.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
just in general, do you have any? Just we'll give Katlego another maybe 3 minutes and see if she comes on.
Mhm.
If she comes right. In general, so how far are you now with the course? At what lesson are you? You should be
Me,
past news.
uh, I'm on lesson 9. I finished lesson 9 last week.
Okay, so you're nearly done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So
So
you covered news. You're all good with
yeah,
that? Huh?
yeah. You see, the thing is, I like there was some work that you gave us to do. I think week, I can't remember which week, where you have to compile the weekly stories. Remember, there's always a work after each and every lesson.
Yes, that's right.
There was a work where you had to compile the weekly stories. I did that.
Good.
And then now I was working on this story here, where I think it was when you write a story, who, where, what, when, how, why.
Yeah, yeah.
That I was just fine tuning my, call it, my skill there. And then I haven't, okay, yeah, like I told you, I haven't got into the interview template yet on how to do the interview yet.
Yeah.
But I just needed to fine tune this. Let me tell you why it's important for me to fine tune this. This is a
Sure.
huge aspect of if, for instance, if you're going to be news writing and stuff like that, this one I need
Yes.
to nail it by the head.
Yeah.
If I look at the story, I should be able to say who, what, where, or when.
Yeah.
Now, at the moment, I'm, I'm all over the place.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
On lesson 7.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I can pull. Let me just see if I can pull this thing up. It was one of those lesson 7. There we go. It was on the. It was on slide. There we go. Slide lesson 7, news broadcasting part. There's something that okay, on page what slide number 1, number 4. There we go. The intro there says your intro there, you must be accurate, short sentences, controllable, check your facts. And then when we get to that news story, let me ask this. Okay, I'll read it for you if you can see it.
Sure.
It says, news and sports update in your news at 8 o'clock. The first sentence, illegal minor have been arrested by Johannesburg Metro Police. Full stop.
Yeah.
Now, is that your
Top story?
I use the word eye-catching line for your listeners? Yeah?
So
Am I correct?
you're talking about the lead. I'll put it up as well. Yeah, because
Yeah,
let me just put
the
it up.
slide is lesson 7 on the slide there.
Okay. Let me just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can someone let Katleko in? I think she's requesting. Oh, there was you know. Okay, so I've got let me just stop the sharing. Wait a second. Second, yeah. Uh, yeah, there we go. Sorry, it's just and there's a lot of things happening. Here we go. Okay. This one, yeah. So, this one, yeah.
Let me see. This is the one here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
So
This is the one here.
yeah. So for example, that would be the
Yes.
top story, right? So we would say,
Yeah.
let's say illegal miners have been arrested by the Joburg Metro Police, and a bill to pass
Yeah.
reform in the US, spurred by the death of George Floyd, has collapsed. Your BMH News,
Yeah.
Uncle Jordan. So, yeah, just to when you're opening with your
Is that an intro?
yeah, it's your headliners
Yeah.
basically. So we could be you have to do the first one, obviously you have to do your top story, right? You have to include it here. Again, you're going to find a mass variation of the way that news is executed by different stations, because they'll feel the need to kind of like create hybrids of what they might feel is the correct format. So some people might announce more than that, let's say announce, let's say 1, 2, maybe even 3 headlines at the top of the actual bulletin itself, and then go into obviously your top stories, going through obviously but you can also just go with the first one, right? Your top story, then introduce yourself, and then go into obviously the full bulletin itself, right? So again, some people might not even some stations, specifically community stations, some of them, right, don't even do the
Yes.
headliners. They actually just go like it's 8 o'clock. It's time for the news. My name is whatever it is, right? So
Yes.
so yeah, in terms of that, is that fun? And then what happens just in terms of if you did obviously understand, and not to recycle repeat, but to recycle repeat, lead generation is knowing this particular part, this first sentence, right, that comes in your story is your lead. It's the most important to the least important, right? It's not a very long story, I understand. So this is maybe about 20 seconds or so. It could be much longer, right? Well, at least another maybe 2, at most another 2 sentences, right? But like, for example, here you find that variation. Just wanted to show a little bit of a variation, right? We have a little bit of a quote, which can also be a sound bite if we find the soundbite, which we probably would on X, for example, very obviously easy to find them over there. And then we would read out the story and then come back. Let's say, ideally, what you would do is you'd probably come back after international news. You'd come back to more local news. You understand, and then end off with a tail ender, which is the light. Obviously, the light. This is not sci-fi, man, like scientific, lifestyle, celebrity, whatever it is. It could be human interest. That would end off as a tail ender, right? So when we look at different stations, again, as I said, there's this variation. So sometimes I'm very surprised. I think all the time I'm surprised when I find that certain stations actually don't even include, like, let's say, tail enders, or they only focus on local news. They don't actually include. They'll I say now and again, erratically include international news. You understand? And so there's a little bit of a kind of messy format. Some of them don't even do financial indicators. They just don't. Like which is actually wrong. The weather as well is excluded, which is a bit bizarre. You understand? Because weather should be included. You know, there should be a weather update somewhere. Um, and definitely, like I say, so the traffic as well should be somewhere. If it is, I'm saying during the day, makes sense. Obviously breakfast, maybe there could be a traffic update during brunch and lunch, not obviously as excessively as drive and obviously your breakfast, but it should be there because you know again, with the currencies, the financial indicators, it's a bit flippant to assume that your listener doesn't care. They do care because we do pay. We pay in that indicator. I'm saying in that conversion, because that's the price of fuel, and that's the price of food, and that's the price. I'm saying to you, like, it affects obviously our daily living. So it would make sense to know if, let's say, like for example, now in during the elections, we're going to see a spike. Obviously, we're going to see a spike because there's volatility in the country. You understand? There's uncertainty. So then the rand will weaken automatically. It always does, right? So it's important to be kind of, again, cohesive when you're doing your bulletins. And again, the very bare minimums are Brent crude oil. It's gold, obviously, per fine ounce. Some people include silver and platinum. In terms of the exchange, there'll be obviously the dollar, the pound sterling, and the euro, but some people include the yen. Some people include the Australian dollar sometimes. Like, there's a bit of variation, you understand? So, yeah. So, yeah. Other questions around this? Because this is literally, as I said, what your this is what the obviously what's covered in this F2 is definitely news, right? So just in terms of sport, like, what's important is the delivery. I think I mentioned that as well. Uh, uh, is the delivery on sport. It has to be obviously a little bit more colloquial, like that kind of like, not informal, but it's definitely more rested than your news bulletins are. So it must be that kind of friendly demeanor, that very kind of, yeah, it's got to be it's a little bit more vibey. Do you understand? Whereas news is monochrome at a, to every extent, and you'll hear across every bulletin. Like, every newsreader is monotone. They are obviously, like, they still are very they're very powerful. Do you understand? There's a very strong delivery, very strong ownership, because the mindset, and again, from my perspective, is that you would say, I know the news, you don't. So that authority of knowing what is being delivered is what you actually hear from a newsreader's execution, right? So that's very important to note, because again, you're also going to have to start doing some executions of your own, and there must be, if there are any questions about the delivery, I can obviously, again, I'm not going to obviously be able to do the best thing on the spur, right? But I can obviously definitely direct you well enough, right? Um, okay. So then, let's go to the formative, and then again, any referencing that you do need, like, you must just let me know. Let's go back to, is this thing? No, on that. Here we go. Okay. All right. So again, just to uh, obviously just re-say, I'm just going to repeat what I said there. We'll have another touch-up class on the 29th of April, so this week, but I will obviously communicate that now when we just finish that up as well. Okay, let's go through the assignment, and then also just the rubric is obviously very important, right? So individual assignment, obviously, right? And then let's make sure that obviously you answer every question. And if you have any questions about the questions, please do ask for clarity, right? So you're going to use this scenario. A South African paddle player, Susan Becker, has qualified to play at the very first World Championships in Spain. Following the guidelines for writing a sport story, a sport report, write a report for radio about this historic event. Okay. Now, this obviously implies that you need to go and fabricate information, right? In doing so, you need to go and create a story
I
that
want to know how
has,
you're gonna get that information.
yeah, but it's okay because the thing is that you can go
Yeah.
and resource information from, let's say, um, paddle championships, if there are
Yes.
any. Do you understand?
Okay.
How are the
I got you.
fixtures working? You know, who did she beat
Yes.
out, should I say, right? If she has played
Uh,
already, and who's playing against her in this particular match. Do you understand?
mm.
So there are ways to beef up the
Wait,
story.
before
Mhm.
yeah, before you go any further, if I'm apology
Sure.
there. So in
No
other
worries.
words, this story here gives you just a headline.
Right.
We are allowed to go, for instance, I will investigate what Paddle is about, what it does,
Yes.
and who's the tournament director, and whatever. And then when
Right.
I give you the story, now
Right.
it will be a radio story, so it would be like a
Mm,
news headline where there will be a vox pop somewhere. I will insert a
right.
vox pop if there is one.
If you're gonna, yeah, if you want one, yeah.
Is yeah? So the picture that I'm trying to draw to, is it a correct picture? You can
Yes,
add the vox pop if you want to. Yes,
if you
no.
want to, yeah. So
Ah,
imagine again. So think of, obviously, the story doesn't need to be longer than sure. I mean, in execution,
able to
because
hear
this is
about
more a bit of
300
an,
words, I think 30 seconds.
oh, yeah, I think, look, I mean, that's a bit short, okay? But we're going to treat this like a bit of an
Mhm.
expose, not too long. So I'm saying about a minute,
Ah,
minute and a
okay.
half, round about there. We're looking at that for a
Ah,
full-bodied
ah.
story, right? Again, because you want to do a little bit about
Mhm.
contextualizing who she is, maybe a little bit,
Yes.
like a little bit of an update on her journey too, like maybe she, you know what I'm saying to you, she started
Mm,
out here,
I see.
her coach says this, whatever it may be, right? But again, what happens is
Mhm.
that you can draw a lot of what you're going to say from the internet. I'm saying to you because there are championships, and if you need to know, like, again, formatics of championships and how they'll run, and then talk about qualifying rounds. How does that actually work? In this
Okay.
context, obviously, right? But like I say, the more I
Yeah.
tell you to write, the more rubbish you're going to write because this is fabricated, right? So, again, this is just giving you a lead to go and then create, like I say, a well-bodied, like I say, from
Okay.
most important to least important, making sure that it is, again, once again, it's a beefy story. You understand? And again, because
Okay.
it's a sports story, you can
I
give a lot of
got you.
personality. Does that make sense, right? A little bit of
Yep.
personality, a little bit of intimacy, right? That you can add to the story.
Mhm.
Right. Again, we'll see the breakdown in
Mhm.
just a moment, right?
Okay. That's much
But
clearer now.
you need to record then this on your, obviously on your phone, and then upload that to a SoundCloud account. So because you don't have one just yet, you must go and create a SoundCloud account, right? Okay. And then you'll upload this as
Yeah.
an MP3, right? So you mustn't
Okay.
record something that you're making mistakes in. So when you go and you practice the segment, right? You must practice it multitude of times so that you have ownership of the delivery, right? And again,
Okay.
so that you, so when
Okay.
you
Okay.
when you
I used
know,
to
then
have
there's
that
a,
sound.
say again,
No,
sure,
no, no.
say
I
again.
said I used to have the SoundCloud account. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Just recreate
Yeah.
it. I don't actually, obviously, I don't mind if you have a mix cloud or if you have anywhere you want to host this, but obviously, just give me the access. I'm saying, give me the
Yes.
the correct link, right? In when you are submitting this, say, obviously, here's the link to it, so I can go and I can play it, right? Make sure that obviously the recording is professional. That's the main thing. So when you are at home, as I've said to you before, which is going to be the case for anyway your beginner podcast as well, and for the near future as well. You're going to record at home, probably on your phone, right? So make sure that you are in a 10 to 1. Your bedroom is the best because it's got a lot of, obviously, there's a lot of bedding, and there's curtains or whatever it is, and there's pillows, so it's kind of soundproofing it, you understand? But you need to close the door and then cover like maybe the bottom of the door specifically with maybe a couple of like a blanket or two, whatever it is, close the windows and then record there. Do you understand? Because you mustn't have like, for example, like even now, man, there's a bird and it's so loud. Like I'm saying, it's outside, it's far outside my window. I'm saying yeah at the stop, but it's loud enough to actually have it record as ambience, which is very annoying. I can't put that on. I can't put that on a recording. Does it make sense? So I must just go to the room, make sure you're like, even if you have to sit on the floor, ideally you shouldn't, because you need to obviously have your like the right composure. I'm saying in terms of your back, in terms of your like your neck and stuff, right? To deliver correctly, right? Like you can just record in, like I say, in your room and it'll be good. Okay. But as I say, so if you make a mistake, as I've said before, like in the obviously in the lessons, just pause and say rather, right? So if you do make a mistake, say rather this, you understand? As a news presenter or a sports presenter would if they do fumble, you understand, right? So, but if you don't get it right, do it again. If you don't get it, like I say, perfect, do it again, do it again, do it again, right? Sometimes you will, well, actually, most of the times you'll see when you start reading out your story. Excuse me, I just want to just get a bottle of water. 1 second. Um, Second. Yeah, okay. So, as I was saying, with your copy, in other words, so the copy is the obviously the written story, right? You're gonna find that when you read it out, you'll see that it won't flow properly. Excuse me, because your sentences are maybe too long or they're convoluted. In other words, you might be using, like, it's ironic because convoluted is a convoluted word. It's terminology that people rarely understand. You have to simplify like the way that you're talking because excuse me. Um just give me a second. Excuse me. Threat will always do this. Okay. So then, yeah. So what you need to do is make sure that it's because it's theater of the mind, but it also it's passive listening. So they're not getting to see, let's say, this person playing on the court. They're not seeing this person's face as they chat to you. They're not seeing the house that they were brought up in, or you understand. You have to create. It's for a passive listener. So a passive listener will struggle, quote unquote, more obviously to process information more so than a viewer, as you would know. So again, your writing needs to be simple without simplifying the content, right? In other words, you don't have to dumb down anything. You just have to make sure that it's in digestible pieces. So when you see that, for example, let's say a sentence is far too long, you need to know that, for example, maybe I need to put a full stop at that comma and then start a new sentence, right? Because also with delivery, you're going to run out of breath as well. You're going to, again, which is going to cause you to stumble. You might actually start upping your pace a little bit, which is also going to become very difficult to process. I'm saying as a listener. So just be careful of these things because that's what you are being marked on as well, obviously, right? Is the delivery, obviously, and the recording at the end of the day, but the delivery of how you're going to do this sports story. Remember, again, it's a little bit more informal. It's a little bit more, like I say, intimate, as opposed to a news story, which, like I say, is a lot more clinical, right? The reason why, and I think I've said this before, is because you can't have emotion in news. We can't have sensationalized, obviously, lingo or terminology, right? We have to use. We can't emphasize like this expressive nature of how we feel about a certain political party just by the expression that we use in our voice and understand the way we accentuate certain things. We do have to emphasize certain things, like, for example, a price or a name or a country or you understand, like a number, like a statistic, you understand? We'd have to emphasize, we don't have to sensationalize as well. Okay, so that's very important, because here you're going to do that. So you're going to do both. Obviously the sports one, right? But you're going to use this story over here, which I'll open up in just a moment. So I'll just show you a little bit of that as it opens up, right? Just give me a second. Yeah. Yeah. All right. But let's look at this. So the inverted pyramid of news writing, rewrite this on story as a radio story. So now you must use 4 to 5 sentences, right? Because now this is for a bulletin as opposed to, let's say, a larger expose, right? Okay. So the bulletin will be 30 seconds, okay? 30 seconds here, right? Where I'll give you, like I say, about a minute to do this particular sports story. So a minute, you must think about if it's 4 to 5 sentences, for 30 seconds, then you can use about 8 to 10 sentences here. So not lines, sentences. So that here is a sentence, and that here is a sentence, right? Okay, so not lines, sentences. Okay. So you'll use the story over here, and you'll now obviously convert it for, well, you'll basically use this and re-paraphrase, right? You have to re-paraphrase for the story. Otherwise, you are plagiarizing at the end of the day, right? And you're not accrediting IOL. If you want to quote directly from the story, I'm saying from IOL, you'll say IOL reports, right? Or this particular new journalist for this story reports, right? So I'm going to quickly go to the story. Right, I'm just going to stop that sharing. Just give it a second there. And I'm going to quickly just go to, where is this now thing that opened up? There we go. Okay. Sometimes happened in the past that we provided links that, let's say, I'm saying from online itself, right? Okay. And from through in the murder of Kaiser Chiefs defender Luke Fleurs. Fleurs, is that right? By arresting, I'd go. So just as a notice, I keep saying, like, because I'm questionable on that. I don't know. I must go and I'm of that there. So for example, I would go, I'm just going to say, copy this over here, copy that, and then I would just go here, second, just give me a second. Yeah, I need to open up a new tab. There we go.
Here we go.
Yeah. Tube. Yeah, just give it a second because obviously there's gonna be a lag because obviously there's a lot happening now on my PC, right? Okay, let's give it a second. And then I would put in that. Just give it a second to come on. Let's see. This. And then I would say pronunciation. I don't think I shared the sound. I'm just going to quickly, just going to stop. Trying to stop so I can just share the sound properly. Just give me a second. Let me just share, include sound. There we go. Okay, right. So then I would go and I would click on this one. Clear. Give it a second. Play.
We are looking at how to pronounce these beautiful names as well as how to say more interesting but often confusing names that many get wrong. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel. This comes Fleur.
Fleur.
Fleur. Again from French, fleur. Fleur. And now.
Okay. You get what I'm saying, right? So you need to go and do that for everything that you don't know how to pronounce. Let me just quickly make sure that I can just get from one thing to another. Just give me a second. Okay, so as again, whenever you can see a street name, you would Fleurs in this case, right, arresting 6 suspects in Soweto in the early hours of Wednesday morning. You would go and it's a YouTuber, right? So the 24-year-old shot in a botched hijacking in Honeydew, Johannesburg on April 3rd. At the time, police said Fleurs was driving a red VW Golf 8 GTI into the petrol station on 14th Avenue. While waiting to be served by the petrol attendant, he was confronted by 2 armed males who came driving a white BMW 1 Series. Provincial police spokesperson, Colonel or Colonel, right, as some people like to pronounce it, but Colonel Mavela Masondu, right. Okay, so the suspect pointed him with a firearm and took sorry, I just want to stop this. Yeah. Something very annoying happened on my phone. Okay. The suspect pointed him with a firearm and took him out of his vehicle, then shot him once on the upper body. One suspect drove off with the victim's car, followed by the accomplice. Right. So let's go. Fleurs died on arrival at a medical facility following the murder. The Gauteng Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Tommy Mtombeni appointed a team to trace and arrest the suspects. Speaking about the arrest, Masondo said the 6 suspects were traced and arrested in Sloverville, Soweto, in the early hours of Wednesday morning. Then he said, let's go down there. He said Fleur's vehicle, which was already stripped, police believe that the suspects are part of a syndicate that is responsible for car hijacking in Gauteng, and the search for more suspects is continuing. The 6 suspects are expected to make their first appearance in Roodepoort Magistrates Court, court on Friday. They face charges of murder and hijacking. If you need the lead, so we write, all platforms are the same. I'm saying to you, you're going to find the same type of news writing. It'll always start with the most important information and always lead down to the least important. Everything's important, but it is less important. We start adding color, we start adding context, we start, like you say, so mentioned in there is the who, what, when, where, and why. Sure, are aspects, are questions you can ask for producing the lead of a story. So if we want to say who, we know that already. Like we need to say there, like for example, this is a good, let's say, lead. Police have made a breakthrough in the murder of Kaizer Chiefs defender Luke Fleurs, arresting 6 suspects in Soweto, right? And then that would make a good lead. So it was the who, right, and the what, because we combine who and the what and the where have already been answered here, right? That doesn't mean that we don't have more who's and what's in the article itself. I'm saying in the news report itself. What would be more important here is like the background, for example, right? Just needs, give me a second here. He was confronted by 2 armed males who came driving, right? So this would, if this is, because this has got to do with the actual, with the Kaizer Chiefs guy, eh? And the murder of Kaizer Chiefs defending, just fatally shot, yeah, on April the 3rd. At the time, police driving. I just want to get the right one, right? While waiting to be served. He was confronted by 2 armed men. Okay, so I could put this all in one sentence, right? Okay, I could so instead of making it a quote unquote, we would say that police spokesperson Colonel Mavela Masonda was reported to say, right? So we still make it current, right? Even though it happened a couple of days ago, right? Obviously, like nearly 2 weeks ago, was reported to say, or has been reported to say, and then we can reparaphrase, let's say this and this over here, if we find it important. For example, this here can be one of your last sentences, right? Um, in addition to, for example, this over here, right? So just in terms of like, so you must know that obviously this is a lot longer. Is this making sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Yes,
does.
no, does?
Yep, it
Yes.
Okay,
does.
right. Yeah, Katlego, thank you. Christos,
Oh,
yeah.
hi everyone.
Hi. Yes, thank you for
Yes,
making it.
yes, it
Oh,
So glad.
does.
finally, everyone.
Hello. Good.
Finally.
Mvelo, Katlego, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do
Um,
have a few questions.
Okay, let's go. Okay, we'll go Katlego first and then go Mvelo.
Okay, question number one. How long should our story be on question 1.1?
So that
Like,
with the
is it
sports, so we're talking 8 to 10 sentences. I'm just going to share that again. Right, so 8 to
8 to 10
10,
sentences?
a 1 minute sports, yeah, sentences, eh? To form a 1 minute sports story. Okay.
And can we? Oh,
Okay, I'm listening. Just it's going to share now. Just give it a second.
uh-huh.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Do you talk to me?
Oh yeah. And during our intro, should we add which day it is of the week and the date?
Not necessary, right? For this and for these two here, you don't have to do the whole introduction because you're not doing a full bulletin. You're just doing the story. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So you will just start from the lead, from the lead sentence, the lead, the lead, right?
The
There's no
the
other word for it. Yeah, the most
the,
important.
the
Yeah.
headline. Okay. We'll start
Be,
from the headline.
be careful of the headline. A headline can be very different from a lead. Okay. Some people, some students go and they announce a headline before they actually start with a story, which doesn't make sense. Okay. So a headline would only happen in the beginning of a bulletin. For a full bulletin, you would say the headlines, right? The selected headlines, and then you would introduce yourself and you would go into the top story. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yes.
So you don't have to do it here because you're only doing one story at a time. You're not doing the full bulletin. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Another
yeah,
question.
sure.
Mm, eh, no, I don't have any other questions. Oh,
Well,
wait, no.
yeah.
I was gonna ask if we should create our own story of what happened to
Yes, the first one. Yes.
them. Alright.
So just to reiterate on the first one, because it is a fabricated story, that person's not real. I don't think she is. Um, you're going to go draw on information that you're going to go research about tournaments, about what was it? A paddle? Was it paddleball? Was that
Mhm.
what they called? Yeah, paddleball. Yeah, uh, 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 paddle. It's called paddleball. I think paddleball is the thing that we play at home, man. It is, yeah. You know when you get yeah. I mean, paddleball is that. Man, damn it! You know what it is? It's like that little mini mini tennis racket, but it's solid. A paddle, and then you do it at home. Like there's it's mini tennis at home, but the
Mhm.
like I say, the paddle is solid. Like it's got a solid it's solid, it's fully solid. Anyway, that's what paddleball is, right? So you would go find out. I don't think there are. I don't. Please don't take it. I've never gone to go look up like whether paddleball is an international sport or it's a competitive sport. It could be, right? But you will go and find out just a little bit more about the tournament. You'll about how tournaments are run, so you can say that she's entering this tournament and she'll play off, or she'll play off in her first game or match against whoever from Spain. Do you understand? Who represents Spain? And then you'll give some like just for some color, some background on maybe a quote that Susan has said, or what her coach has been quoted to say, and what their expectations are for representing South Africa. Do you understand? And that'll give you like a good, well-bodied like sports story. Okay.
Yes.
You can even end off and say to catch the paddle tournament, the official world championship. It'll be broadcasting live on DSTV channel 134, whatever Super Sport is on. You understand? You can close even with that. Okay. Um. All right. Okay. Mvelo, questions from your side?
So far, so good. Nothing. I have no question.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on then. So again, please, again, the same thing recorded. Please practice and execute it correctly, and only upload your best work. Okay. So if you know how to edit, which is ideally what you should be playing around with in Audacity, for example, because it is, and GarageBand are the two free ones and mainly used ones. Or alternatively, if you know how to edit audio on the go, I'm saying on your phone with phone apps, go ahead and do that, right? I just believe that there's more control, obviously, in working with a computer application, right? Software. Then go and edit it down. I don't mind. Do you understand? At all? I obviously don't mind, because it'll be great if you get it all, if you get it correct once off, right? But it's going to take a lot of practice. Ideally, you want obviously your best execution. All right. You now have to create 2 4-minute podcasts, right? The podcast must have, excuse me, here we go. An intro that lays out the facts of the topic, showing a deep understanding of these facts and the topic on the whole, followed by your opinion on the topic, and ending with a closing statement and perhaps a rhetorical open-ended question that you direct to your followers. I'm saying do not, in other words, your listener, right, is in a social space, so is a digital space. So you must say there, comment below if you feel whatever it is. But the question, must be thought provoking. It mustn't be tell me your thoughts. What do you think about this? Like just like contribute whatever, add in whatever you've got to say. That's not a question. You understand? So the question has to be a good call to action that makes him obviously like you've already provoked their thought throughout the podcast itself. Now you must now ask him something of substance at the end of the day. This is obviously again your first, like your first I say attempt at a podcast, but it is also, I'm going to say, almost a final one, because after this you only have the summative, which is going to elaborate even further for a bigger podcast, and you're going to have to create an Iono account. It's got to be super professional, and obviously the entire podcast, it probably is going to average about 8 to 10 minutes long. Like it's got to be something of substance. So even though the 4 minutes is a little bit, it seems like it's claustrophobic, it's suffocating, right? Because it's a very short time to say something of value, right? It is better to introduce you to it in this way, because if you have a lot to say, then you got to dilute it down to only the best things that you got to say.
Are you still there?
Oh, yes, I am. Yeah, I am. Can you not hear me? Hello? Just stop the share. Let me just say this back. Can you hear me? Can you hear me at all? Guys, at all? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Exactly.
Oh, did it just stop? Did it just go away?
Not on my side, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, are you talking about the screen?
No, I'm saying I just stopped the share just in case there was just too much going on. It was stopping my audio. You could hear me just fine, eh? While the oh,
On
okay,
my side, yeah.
okay, thanks. Godleko, you said you're fine. Gustav, he's okay. So obviously that's why. Okay, I'm just going to, while Constance joins again, let me just elaborate a little bit further. Well, so when you listen to a podcast, so in the first 30 seconds within a 4 minute time frame, right? The first 30 seconds has to be a good hook. So you can introduce yourself, but you've got to capture someone's attention. So for example, you're going to take these two particular articles, right? You cannot use them in your podcast. You must go create something original from this idea. So for example, on the just uh, there we go. Okay. So in other words, you don't even have to. So even if you don't want to look at the article, it's okay, right? But the idea here is that when you are prepping for anything on air, so be it on air radio wise, or let's say you're prepping for a good podcast you want to do, like you're going to be sparked. You're going to have a number of sparked ideas from an original piece of original train of thought. So, for example, you want to talk about social media addiction, right? You might want to, let's say, this is a good example. You can do a very condensed diary of yourself as a social media addict, weaning yourself off of over 7 days. Do you understand? So finding, let's say, a 7-step process, right? That you've found on the net and you're going to put to the test, and you can journal, let's say, the 7 days, right? The 7-day process, like how it started, what you wanted to do, how it went, what you avoided, where you messed up, and what was the outcome of that day. What did you achieve? Do you understand? So that you could actually take someone from start to finish. Do you understand? Of an experience that you might want to do with social media addiction. You could go and create even a reaction podcast to something that was really out of line on social media, or let's say you can see that someone has completely lost their sense of identity because of the role that they're playing in social media or on social media, and you can have a reaction podcast. But I'm saying this, like I say it very lightly. I'm saying I'm using this with a pinch of salt because we know that reaction videos on TikTok, for example, very popular, but don't really have a lot of substance to them, right? I don't want you to create something like that. You can create something cool and original and kind of like reinvent the reaction content piece, in this case a podcast, right? So again, at the end of the day, you still must have this structure. It must have a very captivating intro, right? If you're going to use a little bit of a jingle or an ID, it can only be 3 to 4 seconds long, right? Something that I'm saying that you play at the beginning of your podcast. You're more than welcome to use instrumental music. I'm saying so background music. If you want to create a certain mood, right, which a lot of obviously premeditated podcasts have, right? But you do want to start by putting some perspective, right, on the situation by stating some facts of where you are going to now become extremely strongly personality driven, opinionated. Do you understand? In your approach of this particular topic, right? The more specific your topic is in podcasting, the better. So it really has to be niche on niche on niche on niche to really get a good kind of again a good advantage, right? On anything else that is out there, on the other 5 to 6 million podcasts that are out there, right? Okay. So let's quickly just kind of like brainstorm some ideas that pop up when it comes to social media addiction. For example, anything from let's go, like I say, from left to right. Okay, so let's go with Velo first. Just give me anything that could possibly be a great conversation that comes to mind when you think about social media presence, addiction, identity, whatever it is. What could you talk about?
Sorry, please come again with the question, sir.
I'm saying, so we're going to just quickly, just as an example, like a quick brainstorm on what might pop up as an idea for you to go and do a podcast on. So based on the first one here for the social media, right? What could you possibly talk about? What would you think?
Let me see.
Doesn't have to be great.
I basically doesn't have to, okay. So since most social media influencers are young kids, I think I try to target something that's gonna get their attention. So um maybe videos critiquing uh young social media influencers, for example.
Be careful about the visual aspect. If they can't see it, they're going to be lost. I'm saying on our medium, right? So, uh, again, where you need visuals, you're gonna have to gravitate to social media. Do you understand? Obviously, social platforms. Um, but tell me, okay, well, tell me just your experience. Well, what are you most addicted to? I'm saying which platform?
Let's say YouTube.
YouTube. What do you watch?
Usually self-improvement stuff like gym videos and just healthy foods and all those kind of stuff. That's usually what I consume.
Have you ever tried something that was on YouTube that made you ill, or maybe made you sprain something, or made you gain weight, or did you take someone's bad advice?
Um, Not really, no. I
Not
don't
really,
think so.
not yet, eh? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, okay.
So far,
So,
what I'm getting is very helpful.
okay. Um, all right. And well, what can you, I don't know, what can you share about um that? I mean, would you create like your own experience? I mean, have you created your own stuff from your
Oh, I
fitness journey?
so basically, what I definitely could potentially share something because you know how people they usually think. What I've learned is you know how people usually think the more you go to gym, for example, is good. I've
Yeah,
learned that not good. So you know how every gym influencer there is out there, they always
yeah.
push work 5 days, 6 days a week. So I'd go the opposite direction and be like, go to gym once a week. You know, maybe that's something I'd do
Good
if
Lord,
I
why?
why? Because it turns out recovery is much more important than people think.
How
So
long do you go to the gym for? In 3 hours, 4 hours? Saying that
usually
one day. Okay.
currently, I go to gym around 1 hour, 2 hours, but I'm planning to narrow that down to 30 minutes and maybe once or twice a week. So,
Good
like,
Lord.
but with that, once or twice a week, I go highly intense. So, meaning I'm gonna
Yeah.
strain my muscles so bad and then allow the other days to recover myself. So maybe that's something I could potentially share. Yeah.
You can do, like I say, as long as you can push how that, like I say, you got to push the agenda so that there's a social media focus. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
maybe if you, let's say, do your journey to creating the correct platform or the correct series. Do you understand? And what you can share with people as you learned how to do it. Do you understand? Then ties in with the social media aspect. I'm just saying to you that that could be something that you could explore. Okay. Thank you. Katleko, what would you think of anything to do with social media? Thanks, Mbelo. Thanks. Yeah. Katleko?
Um, so on social media, there are a lot of people that kind of like talk badly about others, like bad comments.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I would speak about. Like people just the people commenting and the people on the receiving end.
Okay, so what would the point? So always think about what the point is, because then you can work backwards. What would you like to what would you like to actually say? I'm saying at the end of it, what would you like them to have learned? What would you like them to have I'm saying to you, what point do you want to make?
Uh, I think it's gonna need research, but like how people can deal with the bad comments, because I don't
Yeah,
think it's something that we can stop.
that's
So
very good.
for,
Yeah.
maybe by starting with them understanding that like why people comment badly about others. Does
Okay.
it make sense?
And again, yeah, that's good. It's practical, it's very straightforward, but it's useful. Does it make sense? Right? But
Mhm.
you really have to get in there and say you got to find the extreme situations of people that have maybe committed suicide, quit jobs, changed countries, or whatever it is. They've changed their names, whatever it is. You got to find out. You got to tell us like the extent of you know what I'm saying of the influence that obviously the obviously the world I'm saying the world
Mhm.
commentary right you got to put it into context and then be like this is how you can go for kind of like social media zen like a little bit of meditation you understand not
Mhm.
not meditation you understand somewhere to go and find some peace of mind how to deal with the stuff you got to put it in context I like that idea like I say straightforward it's usable and definitely obviously it's relevant right Gustav
Mhm.
tell me an idea that comes to mind for you
There are about a couple of ideas that come to mind when it comes to social addiction.
go
I
ahead
think one comes is more related to gambling,
uh-huh.
or porn, so to speak. Now, these are the things that if you look into it, people are
Yeah,
so addicted. And I think because I'm on Twitter, the last couple of weeks, last month or so, most of the accounts that were sharing the porn literally were sort of blocked and suspended. Then we were happy because these
yeah,
things, the algorithm has made it so much that they just come in front of you. And I
yeah,
think that if I'm going to talk about this, we got to understand as to what goes throughout the brain of a person that makes them to be hooked up with these things.
yeah,
So I'm also just saying, what are the dangers of these things? And also, what help can people get out of this? Because people on their phones, data is cheaper these days, and so on.
yeah,
What can they do? Put their phones off, help their eyes. Some people, I mean, the eyes, if, like now, we're looking at a computer, you look at this for the whole day. By the time you leave, your eyes are like itchy.
yeah.
Same thing applies.
So
The addiction of social media is at that level.
so very good. I'm saying if you can remember niche or niche or niche, right? So if you can
Yes.
narrow it down to how, for example, let's say if you can pull up some good statistics as to how
Yeah.
many people, let's say, use social media
Mm-hmm.
for like you say gambling or for porn right
Yes.
because for example
Mm.
like on X it you can see anything and everything I mean you can go
Yeah.
anywhere else I'm saying for porn I mean really it's freely available
Yes.
everywhere but the thing is that
Everywhere.
X is it's assumed to be a space where you wouldn't
Mm.
find you would find everything else, but you wouldn't expect that, you understand, to be
Mm.
there so readily. And it's not even restricted. I mean, saying like anyone, everyone saying kids, whatever it may be, right? But
Yeah.
the thing is, we can't just talk about, let's say, for example, I'm going to use a porn example because it's quite easy, you know? We can't just talk about pornography. on social media. But again, you must. I'll give you just a small anecdote, right?
Yeah.
A very good friend of mine now. She's struggling a lot with her husband, like a lot. But it's been many, many, many years they've been together, about 17 years, whatever it may be, right? But the thing is that he is it's one of the things that just randomly has come up is he's incessantly on porn all the time. And she and like it's come from she doesn't even understand just yet. They haven't even found out what the actual problem is, because it's not about satisfaction in the because
No.
I asked, is it about a private life, is there whatever it is. But the thing is that because most people, if they're going to use, let's say, porn, it 10 to 1 is going to maybe last 15-20 minutes. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not that I
Yeah.
don't know. Please, I'm an adult, I'm a human being, right? But we're just saying that, like, you're not going to sit hours and hours and day after day after. I'm just saying to you, right? And not judging, but there's bigger narratives that are happening there. Do you understand? And the
I
thing is
understand.
that
Yeah.
if you can go find out currently what is being said about that kind of behavior, do you understand? And
Mm.
things that kind of, again, red flags and red alarms are one thing, but facts are better. Do you understand? Tell us what genuinely, this is what studies have said, this is what I'm saying to you, this is what's happening around certain cultures or certain society or whatever it is. And this is how this, if you can tell me how much is too much porn, for example,
Yeah.
that's a great way to start. That's a great way to start.
Okay.
So if you can find out what exactly is normal, I'm saying, I don't know what is the consumption of it, but also
Yeah.
you could pull it into the gambling. But the gambling is, it's a different animal altogether, because the gambling is money. Like, you are, man, you are breaking the bank. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, is there healthy? You can also explore healthy gambling, which there is a lot of it. You understand, and
Mhm.
how you have a healthy, let's say, what's it, control, whatever it is. So I know, like, my uncle has been betting on horses his entire life, but he's never gone
Yeah.
broke. I'm saying to you, it's a
Mm.
pastime
Mm.
for him. It's
Mm.
controlled, so no one looks at it funny or whatever it is. It's never caused a problem. But every single week, he'll go to where you go and do the bettings. He goes with his friends. Like, he bets. Obviously, he goes and bets some money. What's the point otherwise, right? Watches, obviously, the races, and he comes home. And there's a lot of healthy gambling as well that you can do. I don't know of it. So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I have an addictive personality. This is why I won't do it. Right. But you can go and explore that, for example. There might be very
Yeah.
interesting stories. Right. For
Absolutely.
example.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So just as hopefully that is just a kick ideas. I'm just going to go back to the document here. And again, the second one is building a greener world takes a world of change. This is a very boring topic. I'm saying environmental change is very boring. If you can find an interesting way to make people feel anything for environmental change, you're onto a winner. Do you understand? Because the thing is that the only reason someone will go and recycle, or they will go and, let's say, the 98% reason is because something's wrong in their life. I'm saying the water's being polluted, they don't have
Yeah.
access. I'm saying there's a lot of garbage around. It's not being the only reason we take environmental action is when we suddenly can't breathe. Like, we're finding that there's too much smog and there's fog, or what I'm saying to you, right? And so
Yeah.
we start
Yeah.
changing our environment around us, right? You can even do a small short podcast on, when do human beings actually act environmentally, like the
Mhm.
reality of what needs to be pushed in different boundaries, right? To make a person stand up and say, let's look after the environment, let's look after our seas, our whatever it is, um
Yeah.
you can also talk about, I don't know, like I'm saying, like when I say environmental consciousness, it can be also in terms of, what is it when you talk about the animals and stuff? I don't know what the word is, but Yeah, you can focus on like maybe what is it, extinct species in South Africa. It will sound very boring, but you best go find a good story about it. You understand? So maybe you could find the story about the last, I don't know, we're not going to use rhino because it's overdone, right? But maybe there's another species that we haven't quite looked at in South Africa that has gone extinct. In other words, there's maybe 50 or less of the species that is alive on the planet, right? I'm just saying to you, you've got to make this interesting. Does everyone understand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Good. All right. Okay. I want to go through the rubric, right? So that we have full understanding as to how you're being marked. So again, you'll see that the 15 marks is broken up into three things: style and language, clarity and structure, right? And then obviously the content accuracy. Again, from 5 to 1. 10 to 1, you're either going to get a 4 to 5 or a 2 to 1. Very rarely, should I say, are you going to get a 3, especially with the podcasts that are done from 10 to 0. You're going to either get a 7, 8, 9, or 10, or you're going to get a 3, 2, 1, or 0, right? Because you either get it right in 4 minutes, you can either get it right or you can get it wrong. Okay. Anyway, let's look at the sports story, right? So, although the story is a fictional scenario, so it's fabricated, the story is hypothetically factual, right? So it's accurate with no errors. So when you are telling me the story, I don't want to sit and say, but that doesn't make any sense. Like you've said this, and now it's contradicting something, or that goes against, I don't know, the whatever it is, the realms of reality or whatever it is, or logic, right? Okay, so there's minor factual errors, and you'll get the 4, some inaccuracies, but it's across the board. As it's across the board, there's too many pieces throughout this bulletin itself that are just poorly sourced, right? And then obviously just complete garbage at the end of the day will give you like a 1, right? So clarity and structure, right? So this story is exceptionally well structured. So again, clear headline, right? So the lead, right? The body and the conclusion, right? From top most important to least important. If it's not coherent, you're going to get the opposite of it, right? So it's all over the place. You're putting in things that should be put in the beginning, at the end, etc. The language needs to be said colloquial. In other words, so something that people can understand at the end of the day. Terminology may be used only when, like jargon, if it's sports jargon, then you can use it, right? Like, because it's necessary for, like I said, the context in which you are busy with, like I'm saying, the story, right? You can't explain cricket without knowing what is it a crumpet? I don't know. I'm saying to you, like these types of things, right? Or a wicket is. It's terminology that's particular to the sport. So if there is any terminology that's specific to paddle ball, then obviously use it, right? And again, also just in terms of terminology of sporting, again, match versus game, uh, again, tournament, that type of stuff. Okay. All right. Same thing with just then. Okay, not same thing. Sorry, with the voice recording. So the vocal delivery, clear, confident, and engaging. The pronunciation and enunciation is impeccable, or it's good for 4. Right. Okay. With a couple of little issues. If it's terrible, like obviously you're going to get a 1, or is we're going to push it. No, you'll get a 1 minimum. Okay. And then just in terms of structure, again, highly engaging, informative, and leaves a strong impact to the listener, down to the story, fails to engage or inform the listener. All right. Then a news story. So content accuracy. So this is obviously directly, it has to be factually accurate. You're provided with the story. So if I go and I check the story and your bulletin, and there is something you've made up to fill the blanks, then you're going to obviously lose marks. Do you understand, right? You use the inverted pyramid. So from most important to least important, if you don't follow the structure, you'll get obviously a lower mark, right? Style and language, once again, colloquial, must be using the correct facts and the right numbers. So don't, for example, use a street name and a number if it's not important. If it's going to confuse a person, then just say was found in lower in the whatever in this particular. I think it was in Slovaville, right? That's what they said, right? Rather use the community or the township, like I say, name, not the actual street, because it's maybe not that important. It isn't actually important because the petrol station is more important, actually, right? So petrol station in Slovaville. Just saying to you that use the correct style and language. At the end of the day, confuse you. Okay. The recording, again, must be monotone, must be clear, must be confident, must have ownership, right? So vocal delivery, nice and clear. If you're having trouble with your voice, make sure that water is being drunk the whole time. It's the best, obviously. What is the word I'm looking for? Man, it's even better than tea, man. I don't know what the word is now, man. A lubricant, right? There we go. So what is the best lubricant, right? The next best thing is hot black tea, right? So no sugar, no honey, nothing, right? Black rooibos tea to get obviously your voice, especially now that it's winter or it's colder, you're going to get a croaky voice. You don't want that, right? And then the structure. So the story is highly obviously engaging. Once again, the overall impact of the story. How did you deliver from start to finish? Will get you that mark. Then with the podcasts, right? Both are marked in the same way. One, the introduction, two, the opinion, and then three is the closer over here. So the closing remarks and the question, rhetorical question or question directed in a social media context. So a podcast environment context. Again, comment below or whatever it is. But remember, if you're posting, I'm saying if you're posting to SoundCloud, for example, or Mixcloud or Iono, and people can't comment, you can't say go and comment below. Do you understand? You have to then go for the rhetorical question, please, that leaves people wanting to think more for themselves moving on, right? You can't ask the question. Please, I'm going to make that very clear. Okay, so the introduction, so full knowledge of the topic, provides clear purpose of the subject, pertinent examples, so the facts that you're going to use to springboard, and includes a strong hook. Right, so what's going to get their attention, right? First about 30 to 40 seconds is good enough for a good, well-bodied intro. Doesn't grasp the topic, does not clearly define subject and purpose, provides weak or no support for the subject, and gives insufficient support for ideas. Poor or no hook is provided, right? I'm going to give you the two. I'm going to go with the extremes, right? So that you can understand. All right, let's go to the substance. All right, so here is when you're going to put in a lot of your opinion. The body is well constructed. So there's meat, there's beef, there's contrast, there's conflict. Whatever it is that makes it original is what you have to go and put that in here. Well-rounded opinion, right? Be strong, like stand your ground, but make sure that you're not obnoxious or you're not ignorant, whatever it may be, right? You are allowed to be those things on a podcast. You can be whatever you want, right? Just make sure that you stick to it, right? And that it works. I'm saying there's some kind of appeal to it. So if you are obnoxious, make sure it's a likable obnoxious. But if you're just obnoxious, no one's going to listen, right? So it doesn't have an opinion, doesn't clarify or clearly define subject and purpose, provides weak or no support for the subject, gives insufficient opinions, poor or nobody. Yeah, no, not that. It's going to be a no space body. Right. Okay. Close remarks and questions, provides clear purpose and subject pertinent examples, but a strong conclusion, right? So you do maybe a short, now I wouldn't do a roundup, right? I would do, again, movement towards what you want to say. You're, like I say, naturally progressing to a climax of the podcast. It's an ending. and we want to leave satisfied at the end of the day. Does not have a conclusion, does not clearly define the subject, and purpose provides weak or no support for the subject, gives insufficient support for the conclusion, poor or no conclusion, right? And so that's obviously reiterated for number 2. And then I think you get a mark on timing. Oh yeah, you do. So you'll get here 10 marks for your emotive, right, delivery, and your entertaining delivery. Entertaining does not have to be funny. It just has to be captivating, right? Okay. So mark obviously out of 10. Excellent to poor. Demonstrates strong enthusiasm. So presence is there, ownership is there, and passion is in this particular podcast delivery. And the complete opposite, no interest in the topic. You're just reading it from the text or from your script. There's no, like I said, there's no connection that's been created. Your timing for every 10 seconds that you are off, 1 mark will be subtracted. So 10 seconds down or 10 seconds up, before and after. Okay, and there's the breakdown over there. Are there any questions? Like I say, so is everyone happy? I'm just going to stop that share. Are you happy with us doing a second session? So on the 29th at the same time, 29th of April. Is everyone okay with that? So I'm going to,
Yeah.
good. Velo, good. Betleko, good. Happy?
Yes, it's fine.
Good. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want to, so obviously I'm going to stop this particular workshop here because it's for the brief and whatever it may be, right? Obviously open up for questioning before I end, and then we're going to do, like I say, in 2 weeks' time. I'm going to obviously put the reminder, obviously now in the group, right? You'll use this one here that we're in now. You're going to use this particular meeting for the 29th one, and then only later we're going to have the summative one. All right. But okay, let's open up to questions, just in general. Velo?
So far, I have no questions, but if I do have one, I'll just send them in the group.
Sure. Katlejo?
Yes. Okay, wait.
No worries.
Okay. So, like you made an example, ne, for
Yeah.
question 1.1.
Yeah.
Like, can I maybe like present the story before,
Yes.
like,
So I can check it, in other words.
oh, yes, yes,
Yes,
but
sure. Yeah.
no, that's not what I mean. Like the story, ne,
Yeah.
we make our own story, right?
Yes.
So what I'm asking is like, can I maybe like make the story of who is it, Suzanne?
Susan something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, before she goes to Spain.
Yes, you can. So an expose on the run up to her journey. Yes, that's very nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
More questions?
Mm-mm.
Are you
I don't
good?
have any other questions.
Okay. Christos?
I'm good to go. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So in agreement, then all good. You guys can start working on it. And then we'll do, like I say, we'll do with what I want for the next one, right? The 29th is to reflect on the material you're covering in class. I'm saying in the classes, right? So we can get some good just make sure by then, please. I mean, where should you be? Just as a sidebar, by then, where do you have to be? I'm thinking there's 12 weeks. Right, you should be at
There's
least
9 lessons
less.
loaded on there. There's no.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So let's do, yeah. So okay, by then lesson 9, because obviously the last, because there's then lesson obviously 10, 11, and I'm just checking, yeah, 12. Right, okay. Uh let's make sure. Just give me a second before I say something. Okay, at least by lesson 8. Okay, where the show prep begins. Okay, right, just by lesson 8. So if you got some time, because again, you still have the last not quarter, the last third, right, of the course to do, which is going to be again basically lesson 11, 10, 11, 12, right? So that any questions, and we can even open up the lessons and quickly go from lesson, maybe I would say lesson maybe 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 6, 7, 8. You can open up the lessons and see how well you're doing with that. Okay. Is that all good? Everyone happy? Okay. Please note that this assignment is due that week. We will have the class on the Monday. You must submit by Friday. Okay. Just note that is there. Okay. So we'll obviously have any questions that you do have. You want to obviously put, if you want it privately, I'm saying if you want to send your stuff, just give me a second there. If you want to send your stuff privately to me, so your prep, your work, you understand, for the assignment, that's fine. We don't have to discuss that in class. Do you understand? But we can obviously tackle some questions. Yes, Katleko, yeah.
Oh, no, I don't have it.
Oh, okay. All right, people, then I'm going to leave you at that. I hope that was helpful. Hope you understood, and I hope you are finding the course useful. Okay. But we'll chat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, people, go enjoy. All right, we'll chat.
Bye.
Cheers, eh?
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.